So very first agenda will be uh, who is a data engineer, why to become a data engineer, and what are the roles and responsibilities of a data engineer, right? So anyone who aspires to become a data engineer, he or she must know like what data engineer is, what exactly the work they do, and why to become a data engineer. So when we as a part of interview process, when we go for recruitment process for various to various colleges, so the very first question we ask, like, why do you want to become a data engineer, or do you know what data engineer is? But the folks are not able to answer because they have never explored about it. They just heard from someone that this is there is one opportunity which they can go for, and these things are needed. So they just keep on doing that. But this is the very basic question which many, I'll say 90% of the folks are not able to answer. Second thing that we'll be talking about is what will be the skills required. So in this, I'll be explaining about all the basic skills that will be needed as a part of a data engineering role, and what are the basic expectations from a candidate. The third thing that we'll be moving on is the interview process. So in the interview process, I'll be discussing in general, which means I'll be targeting both FAANG and non-FAANG companies. So that will be the third thing. The next thing that we'll be talking about, what exactly are the resources and what exactly you guys are required to prepare for pursuing this role and cracking the interviews. The next thing that I'll be discussing is how to become interview ready. So what happens is sometimes we guys study a lot, we guys prepare everything, but when we go for an interview, we are not yet confident, right? So in this we'll be discussing about the both tech and non-tech aspects of how to present yourself in the interview, how to answer the questions, what you should do and what not to do. The very last thing that we'll be discussing is the tips. This will be again the interview tips that actually a person should do in order to become interview ready. Yeah. So, so okay. So I saw a couple of answers from you guys, like who data engineers are. So, do you guys know like what they do, why there is a need of data engineer, what kind of roles and responsibilities do they have? Can you whosoever knows, can you guys write in the chat box so that I can see whether you guys are aware or not? Any other response from anyone? Okay, so the question was uh, why what basically are the roles and responsibilities of a data engineer, and Okay.
ठीक है, एक नंबर, हाँ, एक नंबर ही रखो एकदम वैसा.
Guys, let's make it a interactive session. It is not like only I'll be speaking. I want you guys to participate as well. So I need some inputs, right? I'm seeing now, but yeah, okay. Clean the data is not correct. That's not the role of a data engineer. Writing SQL queries again is not correct. That is actually data analyst role. It's not a data engineer role. Okay, structured data in a useful manner, very much correct. Visual representation used in the business to get solution, yeah, correct. Modeling of data, yeah. Fetch data, okay. Useful information from a large data, okay. Data warehousing, build data systems and pipelines, okay. Okay, okay. So yeah, couple of good answers. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. One request. You guys are not uh, request like whenever I ask a question, you guys are not requested to copy it from the Google and just paste it here. So keep that in mind. Actually, it is not a test, right? I'm not asking you questions, and it is like a Viva kind of a thing. It is not like that. I just want to know if you guys are aware of it, if you guys have the knowledge of it. That's what I want to know. Okay, okay, yeah. So basically, uh, as you all know, like in every sector, be it banking, be it e-commerce, uh, be it anything, be it any sector, be it pharmacy, like any sector you consider, every sector has to deal with data, right? So it is actually very difficult to manage that lot of data and to build insights out of it, right? So basically, like we as a data engineers, basically we uh, and like again, yeah, uh, the data that we get is actually very much raw, right? So that is of no use until we model it. So we cannot use the raw data directly in any of for generating any of our insights, because when we use raw data for generating the insights, we'll not get the accurate results, because the data is actually raw and it does not have the appropriate information. It might contain some null values, it might contain some blanks, or there might be some redundant values, or there might be some of the data might be missing, some of the columns might be missing, or some of the values might be missing. So it is not like we can like the data engineer, the data analyst or the data scientist, they can use the data directly. So what we as a data engineer do, we used to pull that data, we used to model that, and we used to create the data, we used to create data sets out of it. And also uh, you can say we as a data engineer used like converts that raw data into readable form, basically for the data scientist and the data analyst, and for all for a data engineer as well. So it is not like a data engineer is like a servant to the the data analyst or the data scientist. Data engineer is basically he is like he is like modeling the data, and he's providing ease to the work of the data scientist and data analyst. But we as a data engineer, the data which we model, we also used to work on their data, because we have to build the you can say the data sets out of it. We have to build the insights out of it. We have to build maybe some visualizations out of it. So that's where a data engineer role comes into picture. So does anyone has any questions, like what is a data engineer, who we are, and what we do? Anyone has any doubt on this? Okay. Difference between a data engineer and a data scientist. So basically, a data engineer makes the data sets out of raw information. Okay. DB admin. No, DB admin is different. Let's not mix everything. What I think, uh, whatever I have told, like what data engineers do, keep that in mind. Don't mix it with other things. Okay. Data scientist is actually very different. So data scientists are basically, they create models out of that data. So they work on AI ML related stuffs, and then they used to train that data, and they used to basically create models out of it. So data scientist is a way different than what a data engineer does. DB admin is not the same. DB admin is basically uh, the person who just manages the incoming data, outgoing data. He's just managing the data. He's doing nothing over that. He's working on the security of that data, privacy of that data. So that is basically a database administrator. Okay. So next questions. Okay. Okay. That I'll this I'll take later in the upcoming maybe 15-20 minutes. The career path for the data engineering, coding knowledge. Yeah, that I'll also discuss. Okay. Okay. After data engineers work, who will be handling the data? So it is basically the consumers, right? The consumers are basically the data analyst, the business intelligence engineers, and the data scientist as well. Okay. Uh, moving next. Yeah, I'm moving further. I'll keep. Okay. Yeah, I mentioned that Q&A, you can ask if the question is related to whatever we are discussing currently. If the question is not related, you guys can park it, and we'll take up at the end, right? I have mentioned that initially, because if we keep on piling up the questions related to what we are discussing currently, so some of the folks might not be able to understand it. So that's where I have asked if you have any questions related to this particular section of what I discussed, you can ask it now. Okay. So moving next, the skills required. So this is actually the very much important part. What are the skills required for pursuing a data engineer role? Uh, these skills actually I have mentioned on the basis of if you are applying for a fresher role, basically, or up to 1.5 years of experience. So this is fine. But if you guys, if any one of you who has experience more than 1.5 years, so I can explain that part as well, uh, as to what things you need to work more. Like basically, if you have 2 years of experience, so what is actually expected more under these skills? So I can take that up as well. If Let me know if anyone has more than 2 years of experience and he or she is in the session currently, and that should be a switch from tech role to tech role. It should not be from non-tech to tech. You guys are already in tech and you have to move to the tech role only. Okay, I see two who have more than 2 years. Okay, so are you guys in tech role only? Okay, BI developer. Okay, fine. Okay, okay, fine. Okay, skills required. So the very first is, as you all know, like if you apply for any of the tech role, so the expectation is you at least know one coding language. So as a part of the data engineering role, the expectation is you should be well versed with any one coding language, either Python, either Java, or Scala. So some of the companies, like basically the non-FAANG companies, they ask for Python. But if you are applying for a FAANG company, the expectation is you should be well versed with either Java or Python or Scala. There is no such preferred language, but yeah, again, the thing is, if you are applying in a FAANG company, you should know a coding language. So in the coding language, the expectation is you should know the basics. The if we talk about Java, you should know about the basic OOPS concept. You should know the basic syntaxes of Java. You should know the basic, let's say if they ask for any string program that you have to write. So the bonus point is, like when you apply for a FAANG company, they don't ask for which coding language you will be writing the code, but the expectation is that you will write a very well optimized code. So you can either check for Java, Python, or Scala. This should be the very first step when you are ramping up yourself or when you are starting to prepare for this data engineer role. The next thing is, after the coding language, they will ask you for data structures. So you all know, like now you guys are thinking like why data structure is needed for a DE role. Uh, but it is not like only the SDs have to work. SDs need to have the structure knowledge, but the expectation is the same from the data engineer role as well. Because as a data engineer, you will be working some you will be working uh, on modeling the data. You'll be working on the data automation. You'll be writing some scripts. So whenever the knowledge of scripting, whenever the knowledge of whenever you work on modeling, whenever these things come into picture, data structures play an important role. If you don't have the knowledge of data structures, it is actually very difficult to survive in the tech industry or the IT industry. So data structures, I'll not say they are needed as important as it is required in the uh, basically the SD role, but yeah, the data structure knowledge is required. So if SD role is taken into picture, then the data structures expectation is that the candidate must have the knowledge of data structures at a very advanced level, right? But here, if you take this D role, so the expectations is you should know like the basic data structures like the arrays, linked lists, tags, queues, hash maps, heaps. This must be known by the candidate. Um, this is about the data structures. So for data structures, some of you like might find it difficult to learn, might find it difficult to understand, but yes, this is actually important, and this is definitely a question to be asked in the every interview, whether you go for a DE role, whether you go for a SD role, whether you go for any other role. This is a definite question that will be asked at all the levels. Even if you are a fresher, you are a college grad, you have 1 or 2 years of experience, you have 6 years of experience, you have 10 years of experience, that doesn't matter, but you need to have the knowledge of data structure. So this is actually very much important to have this knowledge. And again, the expectation is to be of medium level. uh, okay, we'll discuss in depth about these data structure later. Moving next, SQL, right? So, as you all know, as a part of data engineer role, you'll be working on SQL a lot. So it is not just like you have to open the SQL tab and you have to start writing the queries. It is not like that. It is actually you need to write 10,000 lines of SQL code. You need to write 20,000 lines of SQL code. So that's where the SQL comes into picture. You need to integrate SQL with other coding languages. You need to integrate SQL with other coding languages. You need to create scripts based on that SQL language. So that's where the SQL comes into picture. So it is not like what we practice, like 1 line code to 2 line of SQL, 3 line of SQL. That's not the actual SQL. The actual SQL is when you will be given 10,000 lines of SQL code and you will be asked to debug it. Again, that is actually not done as a part of the interview process, but yeah, once you get into the industry, once you get into the IT industry, yeah, you will be asked to work on it and you have to work on it. So this actually will help you if you have a strong SQL knowledge. If not, like you'll face a lot of problems. So yeah, as we all know, like once we enter IT industry, we don't get much time for reading about the things, for learning about the things. So it's better to write it's better to start from here only. You should have a very well versed knowledge of SQL. So this is actually I will say the basic expectation required from a candidate. Again, you are a fresher, then medium level will also work. But if you have 1.5 or if you have more than 1.5 or 2 years of experience, yeah, then the expectation is you should have a very well versed knowledge of SQL. Then moving next, knowledge of DBMS, OS, and computer networks. So when we spent 4 years during our 4 years of BTech, or maybe 3 years of BSc, we actually are given these subjects are actually a part of our semesters, right? So DBM is basically the database management system. We guys, I think it's a part of third semester or fourth semester, right? So we do give the exams, we do read about it, but and then we forget it in the very next semester. No, this is actually very important. Then operating system. Operating system knowledge. Operating system is again a part of it is again a subject in one of the semesters during our graduations. So operating system is not actually asked what we study in our college times. It is basically the hands-on on Linux that is asked. So basically, like I know most of you guys work on Windows as well, but Linux knowledge is important if you are applying for a FAANG company. Like non-FAANG companies, they still work on Windows, but if you are applying for a FAANG company, the expectation is to have the basic knowledge of SQL. If basic knowledge of Linux, I'm sorry. If you are a fresher and it is expected, like let's say how to list the files. You should know this. How to create a file, how to edit the file, how to create a directory in the file, how to view the contents of the file, how to remove the directory. So these are like the basic commands which you can learn and which you can work on and you can get your hands dirty. The next thing is computer networks. So yeah, so computer networks is again a part of like our college graduation. So computer networks, under this, you should have the basic knowledge of the different type of servers, right? I hope you guys are aware of like about you guys know about the different type of servers. Can anyone let me know in the chat box? Yeah, yes, correct, correct. Yes. So under computer networks, right? You should know what TCP UDP is. You should know what the mail protocol is. You should know what DNS is. You should know what HTTP is. You should know what is the difference between HTTP and HTTPS. You should know uh, what are the seven layers, how the working is actually done, uh, the uh, and what else, yeah, so basically like all these things you should be aware of when you are applying for the DE role. So it is not actually for the DE role. I'll say this is for any role, be it SD role, be it data analyst role. These are actually, it is actually the very basic thing that is expected from a candidate. Moving next. Okay. So, moving next, the next expectation is the candidate should have a knowledge of the data warehousing, about the data warehousing, the ETL, and the data modeling. So, does anyone know what data warehousing is? And what is the full form of ETL as well? Okay, storing history data for future purpose, gathering data from various sources, storing the best data possible to create an optimized flow of data. Okay, okay. Extract, transform, load. Yeah, correct. This is a full form of ETL. Hmm. Okay, so like data warehousing. So warehouse you all understand, right? It's basically a repository. So data warehousing. So data warehousing means a repository of data. Okay. So repository of data, basically you can say data. So what is data? Data is again the collection of information. So data warehousing, if we go via that way, so data warehousing means the repository of information. Basically, data warehousing, what we do, like we integrate the data, we integrate, you can say, the information from like all the sources that is possible, and we create a central repository out of it. So basically, if like, let's say, uh, let's say I am a customer, right? So as a customer, I'll be sharing my information to various organizations, right? So that like my information can be stored in a data warehouse by by combining all the information whatever is available to that particular organization, right? On the, maybe my information may be available on the that organization website, my information might be available in any of their mailing list, might my information might be available in any of their comment sections, right? So basically gathering all that information and creating a repository out of it. So that is basically the data warehousing. And so under this, it is expected actually that you should have a basic knowledge about what a data warehouse is, what are the components of a data warehouse, what are the different kind of schemas in the data warehouse, what is the difference between them. Then moving next is the ETL. So ETL is basically the extract, transform, and load. So again, this is a part of data warehousing, but just wanted to highlight that individually. That's why I mentioned it here, so that it does not get skipped. So that, yeah, that again we'll take it in the later section. when I'll be explaining like what are the important questions that can be asked, and what do you guys need to prepare when you are preparing and ramping up your skills on this data warehousing and uh, ETL stuff. Uh, Moving next is the data modeling. So, what is data modeling? Can you like, are you guys aware of? If yes, then what do you mean by data modeling? No, it's not about machine learning algorithm. No. Yeah, somehow correct. Joining various sources of data and making a form that is required. Yeah. Okay. Uh, Not a problem. I'll take it. So, data modeling. Data modeling is basically you will be like as one of let me check. Uh, as Jagan mentioned, right? Joining various sources of data and making a form that is required. So it is partially correct, right? So what does a data, like what data modeling means actually? So data modeling is basically like you are going to create a model of that data. By model here I mean we'll be creating a diagrammatic flow of the data, like how the data flows. So we'll be gathering various sources of data from wherever possible that we want to have, and uh, we'll be creating a flow out of it. So that is basically a data modeling. Let's say a very simple example of a data modeling, like how you are judged, how you are judged, how you are interviewed in a interview for the this data modeling skill. So let's say I ask you you have to create a data model for the um, let's say education management system, right? Or let's say I say you have to create a data model for the uh, college management system, right? So in that you have to think of how basically the entire college data is structured, right? So there will be teachers who will be owning which data, there will be students who will be owning which data, what kind of access they will be having, how the link between the different kind of data is established, what is the influx and efflux of data. That all you guys have to create a diagrammatic flow of it. And based on that, whatever you create, as you all know, before creating any diagram you need to think of what basically that primary key will be, how the two data sets will be linked, what is the foreign key out of it. That all you have to think of, right? So this is the data modeling stuff that is actually needed. It is not that you guys have to prepare or you guys have to learn something about it. It is just you need to. Yeah. So next will be the big data technology, right? So as Manjunath has already mentioned that as a part of the D role, you need to have some basic knowledge of what Spark is, what big data is, what Hadoop is. You need to know some basics of Spark. So if you are a fresher, the expectation is you should know the basics. It is like a basic knowledge is sufficient. But if you are into the tech industry for like more than 1.5 to 2 years, Then the expectation is you should have a very good knowledge of Spark and the big data frameworks. Next thing is, if as a college fresher or as a college grad, or if you have like less than 1 year of experience, right? Then you should have projects related to data handling. It is actually a cherry on the cake. Like it will be actually a add-on bonus for you, right? That you have actually worked on the data related stuff, and you have some knowledge of it. So this is actually good. Then the last thing is knowledge of cloud. So knowledge of cloud is again a cherry on the cake, because every company is currently on cloud, right? No company is working on the on-premise data. So, cloud knowledge, if you are entering to Amazon, if you are applying for Amazon, so it is not like you need to have the knowledge of AWS specifically. It is just that you need to have the basic knowledge what cloud computing is, like the basic stuff only. But if you have a bit knowledge of AWS services, then it is actually good. If you are applying to Microsoft, then Microsoft is based on Azure. So if you have the basic knowledge of Azure, if you know some services of Azure, that is actually a cherry on the cake. But if you don't know, then that is also fine, because that is not expected from a college fresher or a college grad. So you can actually um, you should actually know what cloud computing is, and on the basic stuff only. So that is basically it is generally expected from the candidate whoever is applying to the role, right? Then moving next to the interview process. So what do basically companies judge on the candidate, and what the interview process is. So in this, I'll be mainly talking about like what are the steps, and what are the different kind of rounds. So if we talk about the first step, though it will be an online assessment, right? So under this online assessment, as I already mentioned, right? So there will be MCQ questions, there will be coding questions, and yeah, that's it. So for the coding questions, it will be a medium or easy kind of question that you have to do. And for the coding, for the MCQ side, it will be like there will be questions that will be asked. It will be like you'll be asked DBMS, SQL, computer networks, some Python debugging stuff, some Linux commands. Maybe you have there will be some pseudo codes kind of stuff. There will be some SQL programming stuff. There might be some software testing stuff. There might be some data visualization stuff, and there might be some algorithm kind of stuff. And what else? Yeah, that's pretty much that will be covered in the online assessment. Debugging could be in either in the MCQ form, or either in the code will be shared to you on the screen, and you guys have to debug it and run the code and submit it. But in that, you will not be allowed to run the code. You guys have to just submit it directly without running the code. So you need to be pretty sure before clicking on that submit button that this code will work fine. So that's where the knowledge of data structures, the knowledge of language, that will come into picture. If you apply for the FAANG companies, then you will get an option to code in whichever language you want. But as I already mentioned, that the non-FANG companies are basically like they are somehow specific to one particular language. So this will be the first round. Once you clear this, you will be shortlisted for the next rounds. So the next rounds will be technical rounds. Basically, there will be either two, three, four, depending on the organization or depending on the company that you're applying for. There'll be but what I believe is generally two or three technical rounds is what I have seen so far. So in this, you will be mainly judged on the Python programming, your SQL. That's where the scripting knowledge comes into picture. Your DBMS knowledge. Then comes your data structures knowledge. Basically the coding stuff. Next thing is your big data. Right. As a fresher, like I already mentioned, as a fresher, you will not be judged more on the big data frameworks. But yes, you need to have a basic knowledge of big data. Then your data warehousing. Then moving next, there will be a discussion around your projects, whatever projects that you have worked on. Coming next, and there might be some questions around the data modeling stuff that again depends on the interviewer as well as the organization that you are applying for. There could be some basic questions, or there could be a hard level of questions around the data modeling. So in that, you need to do a lot of brainstorming while presenting yourself to the interviewer, and while answering the questions, and while designing the diagram flow. So this will be a major gist of the technical rounds. Moving next, there is generally a hiring manager round, is what I know, because I have applied for Amazon, and I have also applied for this PayPal. So they do have a hiring manager round. So in this, it will be a mix of both technical, behavioral, and plus your project discussions. So in this, there will be some basic questions related to your project. There will be some basic questions related to the candidate. Then there will be some basic questions related to the tech side. There could be discussion on the coding side. There could be discussion on the scripting side. There could be discussions on the data modeling stuff, or there could be some knowledge judgment on your SQL knowledge, on your DBMS knowledge. So it is generally a mix of technical and the behavioral round. Moving next, this is the last round, is the behavioral round. Um, the behavioral round generally is what I say is the HR round, which you guys already know. But when you are applying for the FANG company, so they basically check for the employee fitment, right? So under this, they will judge you on whether you fit uh, perfectly on their leadership principles or not. So that's where the behavioral round comes into a picture. Again, this is taken by any of the tech manager or a non-tech manager. That's how it goes. So in that, basically you will be given some situation-based questions. You will be given like, let's say, questions asked on your previous experiences. Let's say, like, when I gave my behavioral round for Amazon, I was asked, um, tell any instance where you have gone dive deep in order to achieve the desired results. Okay, so this is actually a very broad question, right? But you have to answer based on, either it could be you have done anything for your parents, you have done anything for your family, you have done anything in the college, like you have to, that's where you have to explain your resume, that's where you have to explain your capabilities. So that is actually employee fitment round, I'll say. And it is like I was given the situation based on past experience, but you could be given situation based on your future experience. Like if you are entering to this organization, what you can do for this organization, right? So that's where you have to explain yourself, that's where you have to tell who you are and what you can do, right? uh, so this is basically the interview process when you guys apply for a FAANG company. And non-FAANG companies also have the similar kind of interview process. There could be 1 or 2 rounds, maybe less or maybe more. I don't want to say anything about it, but yeah, it is kind of similar for both FAANG and non-FAANG companies. And yeah, once you clear all these rounds, so yeah, you are selected, right? So okay, now I hope interview process is clear to all. Guys, let's make it an interactive session. I hope this interview process is clear to everybody. Okay, I see one response. So I believe only one person is listening to me. Okay, and the second response I got. Okay, okay, cool. Uh, yeah. So moving next, I'll be explaining you like what do like we have discussed the skills which are needed. So here I'll be explaining you like what like under that particular skill, what do you guys need to work on? Like what are the general kind of questions that are asked and all that. So coding and data structures. So as I already mentioned, like you need to learn any of the one language, be it Python, be it Scala, be it Java. You need to have a very good knowledge of any of one language. Since you are applying for a DE role, so Python or Java or Scala, anything will work. But Python is preferred in some of the companies, but it's not the case with the FANG. If you are applying for a FANG company, any language would work, but it should be either Python, Java, or Scala. C++ is not preferred since in the data engineer role, C++ is not used. Then once that is done, you need to ramp up on data structures. Once like under data structures, you need to not you don't need to go through the trees, the graphs, and all that stuff. Basically, the advanced stuff. You need to work on arrays, linked lists, stacks, queues, hash map, heaps, then strings, the concept of strings, right? And also the basic programming. Like what I've seen, people generally dive deep into array, linked list, and other stuffs, and they forget the basic programs as well. Like let's say, even if I ask you guys to write a simple star pattern, to print any star pattern or anything, so people forget that. They don't go through it, they just go directly to arrays and linked list, and they forget the basic knowledge. So basic knowledge is a must. Other than that, arrays, linked list, and the basic data structures, that is needed. Because when you will be judged on the coding side, you will be definitely given a data structure question out of all these, and you need to write a pseudocode. Again, when you guys write a pseudocode, you have to, it is not like you know the answer to that particular question and you just have to write the code. It is like you need to take time. You first need to explain the algorithm to the interviewer, then you have to write the pseudocode out of it, and after that you have to write the actual code. So it is not like you have to directly write the code and just say to the interviewer, yeah, I have written the code, you can check that and it will work fine. So
is assumed that the candidate does not know anything, and it is just like he has crammed everything and he has written here. So don't, never ever do it like this, like just writing the code. Explain everything to the interviewer prior, before writing any code. And before writing code, you need to write the pseudo code, only then write the code. And after that, even if the interviewer does not understand, you need to write the test cases out of it, and you need to explain it step by step, right? So this is the general practice which actually needs to be followed. uh, SQL then. Yeah, so if you are applying for a data engineer role, SQL knowledge is a must. You will be given some scenarios, you will be given some questions based on it, and you have to write the SQL queries. So let's say you are given three tables and you need to write a query. So that's where you need to have the knowledge of joins, you need to have the knowledge of aggregates, you need to know the basic functions that are used in SQL. Let's say uh, yeah, so basically let's say you are given five tables, so and you have to write a query out of it. So the very first step is you need to know which tables that will be included based on that particular question. It is not every time that you have to include all the five tables, right? So that, but that level of SQL knowledge is actually needed, right? And also while writing any SQL query, again, it is not like you know the answer and you just write the query and you present it in front of the interviewer, right? You need to first explain what you are thinking, what you think the solution will be, then you have to write the query again. So that's where the importance of pseudocode comes into picture, right? You need to first write the pseudocode, then only you have to write the actual SQL. It is not like you every time just write the SQL and say, yeah, this is the answer. No, it doesn't work like that. So many candidates I have interviewed and I have seen that those guys know everything, but they're not able to explain to the interviewer. So explaining your knowledge, explaining what you think to the interviewer is important actually, because if you don't do this, it will be taken that you have just crammed everything and you are explaining it to the interviewer. So that's the major mistake and the major blunder which many candidates do. So I request you guys, all guys, like never ever do such mistakes. So SQL knowledge, that is basically the scripting round where you'll be given lots and lots of SQL to write, and also there will be some questions around the Spark basics. There will be some questions related to Python. So this is basically the SQL part that you need to work on. Yeah. So moving next comes the knowledge of DBMS, operating system and computer networks. If we talk about this, so under DBMS, you need to know what are the different type of keys, what are the relational, non-relational databases, what are the SQL, NoSQL databases, what are the distributed file system, how normalization, denormalization works, what are the importance of keys, how to choose a key, how to when you create any data model, what on what basis you have to allocate the keys, how do you link the databases, what are the different kind of data types. That all knowledge you will be judged on. You need to know all these things as a part of the as a part of DBMS. Moving next, if I go for Linux, so under Linux you need to have a knowledge of the basic Linux commands that I already told, right? And it is not only the knowledge, but you also need to have some hands on, because many candidates who come to who present themselves in the interview, right? They just cram those basic what I say, basic commands, They just cram those, and when they come to interview, they just write it. So they don't know how to modify those commands. It is not like whatever is available on Google that will be directly asked to you guys, because you are applying for a FAANG company, right? So you will be judged based on your knowledge, whatever knowledge you have, what kind of thinking you have. It is not like it, you will never be judged on what you have crammed, right? So that's where you need to get your hands dirty on Linux in order to answer those questions which will be asked in the interview. For the computer networks, I've already explained, right? Or you need to have the basic knowledge of computer networking stuff. I believe like whatever is taught in the, I'll say, whatever is taught in the as a part of the college graduation, right? That I believe is sufficient as a for the computer networking stuff, because that actually plays an important role. But I'll say indirectly or directly, computer networking will be used everywhere, right? So it will be a it will be a bonus point if you guys know, like if we talk about the AWS service, there is one service called the VPC, right? So if you know about VPC, if like again, if you know about basic AWS services, right? And VPC is a very basic AWS service. So if you know that part of any of the cloud computing provider, right? Be it Azure, be it AWS, be it Google Cloud. If you know that side of it, basically the networking side of it, that will be a bonus point for you. So it is not actually expected, but yeah, it will be a add-on bonus. Then moving next. Yeah. So for the data warehousing, ETL and data modeling, right? Uh, Data warehousing, in this you'll be asked questions related to OLTP and OLAP schema. You can be asked to design any of the OLTP and OLAP schema. So very first thing, whenever you are asked for any of the data modeling question, you the very first question that should come to your mind, will it be a OLTP schema or will it be a OLAP schema? Because data modeling will work on that way, right? It will never be in case of it will never be like you just start creating the diagram. You need to explain everything. Then the next data warehousing, under data warehousing, you can be asked on what fact table is, what dimension table is, what are the different kind of schemas. Let's say yeah, we have this star and snowflake schema, which is actually a very important question, which is asked, I believe, in almost every interview, right? And candidates don't know the difference. They just cram the points which are available on Google. They just cram those and they keep on speaking, right? But that is not the expectation. The expectation is the interviewer does not know what the star schema is, right? And you have to explain. And then another important thing, whenever you explain anything to anyone, always keep examples ready with you so that you can elaborate your points well, right? Whenever you think you are not able to explain, you don't know the definition, it's totally fine, but you should know the example. In like many a times, Amazon asks question, you have to explain star schema to a layman, right? So if you are explaining star schema to a layman, right, you can't explain him directly. You need to first explain what exactly star schema is a part of, right? Then you can explain star schema. Again, if you just say the definition that is available on Google, that the layman can also read, right? But he does not understand that. So how you can explain to a layman is examples, right? So you need to be ready with the examples, lots and lots of examples, where you can elaborate your point and where you can explain your things well. Okay. Then moving next is ETL. ETL is, I already told, right? Extract, transform, and load. So basically, we extract the data, the raw data, we transform that data. We perform transformations on that data. We basically model that data, right? And finally is loading the data. L is for load, so we load the data. So under this ETL will be kind of theoretical questions only. Under this, like mostly theoretical questions will be asked. No as such brainstorming, right? So you need to explain what is ETL, what the components of ETL. So the very basic questions that you will be asked. Moving next, we'll be having data modeling. So in data modeling, I already told, right? You will be asked to create a diagrammatic flow of data, and when the diagrammatic flow of data is like that you have created, based on that, you'll be asked to write some SQL queries just to check whether that diagrammatic flow works fine or not, right? That's where when you are asked to write SQL queries, then many things come into the picture, and then you realize that these particular things can also be added, right? So this is the data modeling stuff. uh, Next, the Spark core concepts, right? Spark is again a big data framework, right? So you should have a basic knowledge of what is big data. Again, they will not ask what is big data. They will ask you have to explain what is big data to a kid. Like how will you explain that? So that's where you need to be ready with examples. I already mentioned that, right? Everything should be elaborated with examples. Uh, there is no such way like you can give that definition to a kid and he will understand, right? So you need to be you need to like uh, elaborate yourself with examples, and you need to develop that kind of understanding that whenever any question is asked you can explain that with examples, right? So you need to have lots and lots of examples ready with you. Under this, there will be questions like what is the master slave concept, what parallel processing is, what are the nodes, what nodes and clusters are, what is partitioning and repartitioning. So the very very basic questions, right? You can you can like just type on Google what are the Spark basics. There is uh, very good documentation officially by Spark as well. You can go through that as well, right? That is very good. You'll get a very good hands-on experience as well when you go through that official Spark documentation, right? After that, okay. So the very last thing comes is project, right? So projects, like I already mentioned, they are a very important part of your hiring process, right? So it is not necessary that you need to have a data related project or something, but yeah, if you have that, that will be an add-on bonus for you, because college grad is not expected to work to have the knowledge of everything. But yeah, if he or she has that knowledge, that is actually very good, and it will be an add-on bonus. When we write a resume, we all have projects mentioned on it, right? But if you have some data modeling kind of project, so that will be actually very good. And that's where under the technical round or under the hiring manager round, we like there will be discussions around that project, right? So you can search on Google, you can find various projects, and you can just get your hands dirty and create a project on your own. I'll never say that just copy the project whatever is available. No, think out of your mind, create something different what others have, so that you can be a wholesale authority of that project, and it you can present that very well, and you can be confident enough because you have created that project on your own, right? I have given one example which you guys can try. For that, you need to have the prior knowledge, which I previously explained, right? The knowledge of Python, the knowledge of SQL, what actually data scraping is. Yeah, that is again a part of Python. You need to have some visualization knowledge. So this you can try on your own. Uh, and one more thing, like whenever you work on projects, keep everything updated to GitHub so that whenever you present yourself in the interview, you mention that link of the GitHub into your resume. And if the interviewer wants to access that, he or she can directly go to that link to access your project, right? Your GitHub needs to be always updated. Uh, Very last thing is the basic interview tips, right? uh, you should be very confident enough, right? I think I have covered all these, so maybe you guys can quickly go through these, and you can ask me any questions if you have, because I think I have covered all these tips during the entire 2 hour session. So I think I have explained everything. You guys can like feel free to ask your questions, and before asking questions, I'll request everyone to read all these interview tips, because these are the very basic tips that every candidate should be aware of, and they should know before presenting themselves in any of the interview, right? Yeah, so you can go through these tips, and once you are done, you will feel free to ask any questions, whatever that comes to your mind. But make sure it is related to this particular topic only, not out of it, because if we keep on broadening the topic, then things will not work out well, right? So keep it short, keep it compact. Let's focus on the DE role. Let's focus on the interview aspect. Let's focus on the preparation side of it. Feel free to ask any questions, whatever that comes to your mind. And I'll switch to the Zoom meeting so that I can view the questions in the chat section. So if you guys are done, then I'll switch. I'll wait for another 1 minute so that you guys can go through these steps.